Hey, you. Welcome to
Oh,
Bonehead.
I almost burped. Welcome to Bone.
We're all excited because Chad now is Lord Montague of what is it called again?
I thought he was Lord High Muckety Muck. What's the name of the thing from the Fraggles?
I don't know. That
Oh,
one
the
guy
Lord High
died in
Trash
Britain.
Heap.
Yeah.
Lord High
Prince
Trash
Philip.
Heap.
Prince Philip.
Never got to be king.
In all fairness, I do look like I'm a 99-year-old.
Hold on. No, you just I don't I've actually wait, Prince Phil, isn't that piercing you get on your penis there?
Is it?
Isn't that what that's
I
called?
thought that was isn't that a Prince Edward?
No, that's a cigar.
He's in a
I
can, right?
thought it was Prince Albert.
Prince Albert's
Prince
in a
Albert.
can. Well, you better let him out. Is your refrigerator running? Only reason we know these jokes, ladies and gentlemen, is because we watched 1990s It miniseries 472 times with Tim Curry, just saying them over and over. Well, that's the reason why I know these jokes. Well,
I know
welcome.
because I love old vaudeville.
You do. I've been trying to get you. They say he's in Mississippi. He's literally in the Catskills.
Yep.
Playing to people that never left their summer vacation.
Exactly. If I could get
That's
a
an
job,
obscure reference that only about 5 people in our audience are going to get.
if I could get a job in the Borscht Belt, I'd be
You
made.
can live, you can entertain anywhere. So today's topic, I'm glad we're finally doing it. It's about movie cliches, or as I used to call them, cliches. Movie cliches that just TV cliches, entertainment cliches that just piss us off.
Yeah, true.
Like when one of
Tropes
mine.
is a
It's
good
like
word.
when people call cliches tropes.
And you,
That do anything for anybody? That get anything? Is that New Yorker humor? Can I get an article?
Yeah, probably.
yeah,
I can't read.
and I don't know if, and I hope nobody has this as their example, because I'm afraid I'm sorry if I do, but like an example of a movie cliche that just takes some people out of the movie is the always used 555 number.
That's exactly the one I was going to use. That's probably the most well known. Like 555 doesn't exist. You see it. That's actually the second or third best line in Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember that with Andrew Dice Clay?
Yeah, and I've forgotten the line.
Here's what it is. So the girl wants his phone number because he's Avengers of Ford Fairlane and he's Andrew Dice Clay. And you got to remember, you got to put that in context. There was not a bigger comedian on earth than Dice right about that time. There's about a year or two there. He was actually bigger than Kinnison. And there's a lady in a club trying to get his number. He gives it to her. She goes, 555. That's just some bullshit. They're making them that's some bullshit in the movies. He goes, yeah, what the fuck do you think this is, real life? And then walks off. I appreciate that. I appreciate it because 555 is bullshit. It's not a real number, but we still use it.
And then what's even funnier, and I don't think it's used anymore. It petered out in the 90s, is when people try to get away from the 555 cliche by using KL5.
I've never even noticed. I don't even know that.
You've never seen that one?
No, it doesn't even make sense. Are they in Britain? You can't
know
but
KL5 and KL5
is
still 555.
Oh, I get it.
Okay.
Where are they in Britain?
Actually, isn't the KL5 actually a historical reference to Klondike 5?
Well, I mean,
the old number system.
I like ice cream. Do you have some?
Oh, I bring history and I get welcomed with
what would you do for a Klondike bar? Nothing. They taste like shit.
Blow James. Hey, they're not bad. They're just vanilla ice cream.
As soon as you put one in your hand, you're starting to get chocolate all over your fingers.
That's probably
that sounds awesome. I don't understand what your problem is.
You're supposed to eat them.
Only a man with a pelican hat is going to go ahead and bitch about chocolatey fingers and not lick them. Speaking of licking chocolatey fingers, James, can I lick your fingers?
You're supposed to eat it, Chad, not hold it in your hand. What type of world do you live in? Let me hold this ice cream for a few hours. That'll be fun.
Don't get me started on the fact that they charge more for a Klondike donut, which is just basically less of a Klondike bar. The bastards.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
it's a Klondike bar with a hole in it.
I don't live your wealthy lifestyle.
That must be. Do you get that at the K. Roger place? I can't go there. Save-A-Lots hasn't got them yet.
No, and I don't even get name brand Klondike bars. I get whatever the generic is, polar bear pies or whatever.
I was going to say Antarctic freezer.
Oh, yeah.
I was really going to make a horrible joke. I want to keep it to myself. I would have piss off the 5% of people that don't listen to us.
Yeah, I was about to say you might let me borrow from Family Guy. You might upset the fan.
Yeah, don't ruin that Nicholas
That's
Meyer
for
cred.
the fan to decide.
Yeah, we did. We've had a bump from God bless him, Nicholas Meyer. The one guess, and it means nothing. I know Mick is going to get pissed, but I don't. Nicholas Meyer is smarter than us. After Chad you had to go. I don't know if you heard me or not before I said it, but after the interview, I told James, "Boy, he's smarter than me."
Well, and
Not James. James
no.
more educated.
No, I get
yeah,
by
he's
my
probably
looks.
smarter than me.
But he's not a lord or an esquire. He's just a doctor.
I know. See, you didn't accidentally just have some bullshit gene where you got to be somebody accidentally in the whole big gamut of.
No, I had to earn what I got like a sucker.
Dumbass. Anyway, let's get back to movie cliches. That's one. So I'm going to go first because I, for the first time in well over a year, I ventured out to the movie theater. And I saw Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong. I don't remember.
Which one is it, by the way? Seriously, is it King Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla?
No, it's
versus
Kong. It's just Kong, but I can't remember
Okay.
which way it goes. It doesn't matter. It's fun. It's dumb as a box of rocks, and it's fun. I enjoyed it. James, you was saying earlier, escapist entertainment. It very much is. It was nice to come back and do Kong versus. But here's what's driving me crazy. Chad and I were talking about certain things in the movie that are driving us crazy, but this is throughout a lot of movies, and especially these, but other movies. Who pays for all this shit? Who pays for it? Kong is living. You do not. Kong is living in some sort of huge dome where he doesn't even know that he can see outside. And then they've got a tunnel that connects. Chad, is it St. Pete Beach to China?
Something like that.
I'm not being a smartass, am I?
It's
a huge tunnel that connects the redneck Riviera to Hong Kong. Why they picked that place, I have no idea. I'm fine. I like the Gulf of Mexico and Florida, but I'm just, who paid for that? Who dug it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Never explains.
And then they act like it's a huge secret, and I'm like, there's no way that could have been a secret.
The only movie that is ever, to my knowledge, explained of where, or tried to explain of all these secret corporations or this huge ass government conspiracy, because believe me, watch the news. The government is damn near incapable of covering up anything. The only one that explained it was Independence Day. Do you guys remember this?
Oh yeah,
they go to Area 54 and
Area 51.
That's what I said.
Studio 54.
I was actually thinking of Car 54. They go to Car 54, and Fred Gwynn said, "Listen,
where are you?
Yeah, I couldn't find you. Where you been? Where you been? Where you been?"
Oh.
And then Buster Poindexter answered him. I can't remember the guy's real name who was in the remake. Anyway, they're the only ones that explain it. Goes, you think they really pay $50 for a washer? What's a washer is 5 cents or whatever the line is.
Yeah.
Only movie that's ever taken the time to explain it. Who pays for all this shit? Monarch. What is the other name of the company, Chad? The other one? I don't even remember.
Oh, you're catching me off guard. I don't remember.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It would cost trillions of dollars. Not billions, trillions.
Well, now here's the flip side of that. And let me just say, I'm going to give a historical example that's going to sound terrible.
Shit. Somebody gets a PhD in history of education, and he goes, I'm going to do a historical example.
Who paid for the pyramids?
Well, that's slave labor.
Yeah. Exactly, Joe. You just clone a bunch of humans, make them do slave labor.
But in all fairness,
they didn't bother to explain that in Kong versus Godzilla.
Well, because it'd be a bit of a downer. Yeah, like if the movie
as opposed. Go ahead, Chad.
No, I'm just saying, if James is going historical, I'm going to give a historical answer. They also paid them in beer. Beer is a lot more transferable than cash.
They paid him in Butter's milk.
Maybe everybody got one Kong hair or something. Yeah, it'd be collectible, right? You got one.
I'm sorry. Now I'm doing different lines that don't start with Kong hair. I'm one Kong hair away. I could get away with that one in polite society.
I got a toe knuckle. I got a toe knuckle hair. I want my money.
Is that
you have a toe knuckle? I saw it when you were walking the other day.
What is it? Is it
a moose knuckle?
Crazy Larry and Dirty Mary. Is that
Dirty Mary, yeah. Dirty
Yeah.
Mary, Crazy Larry.
It's got a bunch of lines that work really well with that he says to her, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you're
I'll
Wong
leave it
Kong
at that.
here. Yeah. That's
I
one
I will braid your Kong hair.
thing.
Kong. Which, by the way, who does their hair? Like, I would imagine he's a giant ape. Don't they have to worry about parasites and stuff like that? Is that explained in the film?
It is not, but I do
Because
have
I want to do that movie. That's the movie
Well,
we need to pitch.
they did, James. It's called Cloverfield.
No,
he ain't got no hair.
But he had
Yeah.
parasites.
Well, that's true.
Oh,
but
and they ate people. That's right.
I want to talk about the people that have to go in and comb out Kong's hair and check for lice and mites and stuff and give him flea dip. Somebody's got to do that. That's a job.
They did talk about his smell in this one. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They did mention that. I've got one other complaint about giant monster lizard movies. Now, Chad and I have talked
If
about.
you shame Gamera, I'll burn your house down.
I don't even know how to do that. Chad and I have talked previously about, and I guess we all three have. Why do all aliens come here and all they ever want to do is take our natural resources and kill them?
No,
Right?
but
There's not a ton of planets on the way here that don't have ore.
Not
but
only that.
I
Not
wanna get-
only that, Joe. They don't come to Earth. They come to America.
Yeah, well, that's getting to my next point. When was the last time a giant creature landed somewhere that wasn't a big city or made their way to the nearest big city because Bloomingdale's is having a fucking sale? Why do they got to go to New York?
I've got one.
What?
Stitch. Remember, that's the entire thing with Stitch. He's supposed
Stitch
to go
is
to
this
huge cities.
small.
But he's supposed to go to huge cities and
Yeah.
destroy them, right? And he
And
can't.
still everyone's left shoe, James.
Yeah, and he can't because where does he land? This small island in
Of
Hawaii.
what?
But I think that was Disney. That was the creators of Lilo and Stitch parroting that whole.
Oh,
trope.
exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. I just
Oh,
wanted
he
to point
said
out
trope
there-
again. Everybody
Yep.
take a drink.
Oh,
I keep drinking
I
the
put- I
sugar-free
put the lid
Kool-Aid.
on
I'm
my
gonna get
bottle.
drunk. I think that's how that works. So
Well, my
why do they
favorite,
go-
my favorite trope is trope Beverly Hills because shopping is their greatest skill.
which obviously God fucking Zilla wants to do because that's where he's going is downtown Hong Kong, right? Why? Why do they always go to the big city other than to knock some shit down? They can do that out in
now-
Utah.
flip side of that, and I don't know if this is explained, and it may not be the reason they have, or they just want a cool action scene. But if I had to give a justification, if this was a James Thomas monster film, they need the power grid. They draw
Nope,
energy from
Not in
the
this
power grid.
particular one.
No, I know it's not. It's probably never been used. But if you held a
It
gun to
had-
my head,
I think that has
actually
been
there
used.
is a horror movie that uses that. Yes.
Well, I
it's
think the
in,
Japanese have used that before in
Well, there you go.
Godzilla films.
That should be. It's a throwaway line you can use. Oh, they must be searching out the power grid. There you go, Hollywood.
In fact, I think the first
$5.
Godzilla, the nuclear reactors. But once again, I just don't understand why. Why
You know
do they
who-
have to go to downtown? The parking sucks.
And
It
the
just
streets
sucks.
are so narrow.
The streets are narrow. The parking sucks. People are rude. I don't
And-
go to downtown. Maybe
And
I'm just.
there's going to be
I want an
people
old man
asking for-
Godzilla film. If I got Logan, if I got fucking, why can't I get old man Godzilla? I don't want to go downtown. There's nowhere to park.
They had an early bird
The
special.
kids, they're all out there. I got the mask on. None of them got the mask on.
So
Oh man, that would be the world's best scene where you have fire
Engine.
and then you breathe the radiation beam and the
Yes. Why?
So coming in 2023, Joe Lewis writes Godzilla attacks Schenectady.
Schenectady.
oh, not
Schenectady.
the idea plant.
Although
Where else do I
Schenectady,
get my ideas?
Schenectady would be a cool name for a town where all these cliches meet. We call it Connectedy. I live over on Deus Ex Machina in Connectedy. Thank you, James.
I live over on Cameo Street. A bunch of famous people are there, but I
Right down from Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Where did they
Cameo
come
Street is-
from? They just appeared, moved us along.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Who the
So
hell's
I'm gonna jump in because mine is along that same lines of where does the money come from, but on a much smaller scale. Because it's one of those things I see in movies and TV shows that just throws me out of whatever's going on in that scene every time I see it. It's you're a secret government agency, and you're trying to hide these secrets from all of the world. And this one person comes in and he pulls a manila folder, and the manila folders have the logo of the fucking corporation.
It's going to be Monarch.
It drives me. I have seen it so many times. Of a
Oh my
manila
God,
folder.
now I want to write that sitcom where I work at the top secret print shop. It's like, oh, listen, we're gonna print this on the folder, but then you're gonna have to mind wipe me immediately.
Can I just point out? I did a little research. I can't find any place that prints shit on manila folders.
No place.
I can't find a place. I'm sure there's some place.
Dude, I think there's a business.
But
there
have we
for
ever
you.
worked? I have worked for state government. I have worked for two
hold on.
scale organizations.
You were employed by state government. I don't know if state government works. Vaudeville.
I have never seen a folder. I have never seen a folder with a damn logo on it. It's always just a plain manila folder. And I'm like, and if you're a top secret government agency, where are you ordering these things from?
You know why you haven't found one of those companies, Chad? Because to get their business proposal to the bank to say they want to make those, they need a folder with the logo print on it, and the company doesn't exist yet. It's a paradox. It loops.
Yeah, one great example of this, and it's a horrible show, and I still don't understand how Arrow lasted 8 seasons.
Well, fans and sponsors.
Oh God, shut up, James. It's still terrible.
Don't a lot of you people like Arrow?
Silas loves it. I watch it with Silas. It's a good action show. It just Chad's upset because it has nothing to do with the source material he loves.
Yeah, and it's Batman, but they couldn't afford Batman.
I've mentioned it before. It's still my favorite episode when they have to go to Gotham and Arrow keeps going, Batman doesn't actually exist. He's an urban myth or urban legend. There is no such thing as a Batman.
But
that episode, what is that? 6 seasons in, they finally do that joke, and I'm like, oh, that episode was hilarious to me.
Well, and so there's this secret organization that's not supposed to exist that nobody knows about. Is it called Argus, James, or Argus? Argus.
Mm-hmm.
Argus. And every time they infiltrate Argus, they find a folder, and the folder has the fucking logo of Argus on it. So I'm like, why do these folders keep popping up in movies and TV? And then, side note, how many government agencies put a red confidential stamp on it so nobody can open it? Oh, it's confidential. You can't open it.
I mean,
I know it's pretty much like writing Pandora's box on it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you do not open this shit up.
And I know
what do you want to do? I want to open it up.
And I know it's a hackney thing to entice the audience to get their brains moving. For example,
but it does exist too, right? I mean,
I've never seen.
Yes, if you look at declassified material from the 1950s and 60s, stamped in the corner will be confidential.
Do you also get pissed off when the casket says Aculard or Dr. Aculard? Lucard or Aculard? Do you also get mad at that?
Dr. Acula.
I'm just asking if you do.
No, every time I see it, I don't know why.
I giggle, but it is awful.
It is awful, yeah.
It is awful. And they've done it more than once. I watched a video about Joe Dante could roll off the films in sequence.
Well, the Dracula TV series from the late 80s, that was his name there, right? It was Lucard. They had to fight Lucard.
Yeah, you're right.
Lucard. I have no idea. It's awful. I was just curious if that same thing pissed you off.
No.
This is confidential. And that's Dracula.
It's just funny, like the folders thing. It's a very simple, just visual thing for the audience to get them involved into the story. But it's the same thing with and one of my favorite directors, Kevin Smith, he does it in his films and it pulls me out of it. When they show an air conditioning vent and they have the plastic streamers on it to indicate that the viewer that there's cold air coming out of it. It's an old visual trick.
But we know what comes out of those.
Yeah, I know exactly. And when somebody hands a manila folder,
I know exactly the scene you're talking about. It's when Loki or whatever looks up.
I would say it's
a Dogma. And,
air conditioning.
But if you see it in I know I'm getting off manila folders. because God knows we got to talk about Manila
No,
folders.
please go back to Manila folders.
But it's in one of the it's in one of the
His favorite color and his favorite flavor, Manila.
Niller. I call him Niller.
I get the sweet taste, and then I also get a lot of fiber.
By the way, FYI, now that you brought it up, I'm sitting here. We have a whole stack, and James knows exactly about the institution I work for with that crest right over there on the Manila folders.
Oh, you do? I've never seen one with the. Oh,
I'll bring one home and show you.
Okay.
Not to be confused with, of course, Birdman's crest.
I'd send
Bring
it to
me
your house,
Birdman's
but
crest.
you'd go out, see it, and some bitch would attack you
Yeah.
because it'd have the thing on it. And
Yeah.
you'd
Oh,
just be
whatever you do,
screwed.
don't step confidential on it.
We have one of those too. I was slap confidential, send it to his house. Before you know it, Chad's in a van.
But no, but the fan thing, it's also it's in one of the Dusk Till Dawn sequels too. They just put those streamers on the fan to indicate that the fan's moving.
But you
And
know
it's
it's
just like
moving.
it's moving, but you need that the director thought that the audience was that stupid. And same thing with mail folders. Oh, it has confidential, or it has the secret government seal on it. There's something in there. It just pulls me out.
You could give that away with just the sound effect too of a as it goes at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But by the way, we need to do a Bonehead movie where the confidential thing, we open it and it's like a brownie recipe, but not a good one. Like
Or
one
just-
just obviously been
no.
cut off of a box. And just
Better
stuck in a
yet,
folder.
Do you have
Just
any
a brownie. It just needs to be a brownie.
Do you have brownies?
I mean,
No.
not right now.
Well, then why did you bring it up?
Because I like to torment you. That's what I'm here for.
That's some. If they had chocolate
God
chunks in them,
sent me.
All right, James, which one you got?
I've got an entire category because I was watching something the other day and it spiraled me into this entire rage thing. And this is
it was something his kids were doing over there. Sorry.
I don't know, something about reading books. No. Why is it that Hollywood, and not only Hollywood, TV and even books can't figure out how automobiles work? I was watching, I think it's Foxfire. There's a scene in Foxfire where they pull up, the headlights are still on, they get out of the car and walk away from the car. They are not returning to that car.
But they leave the
The
headlights
door
on.
is open and the headlights are on.
Yep.
That more and more I see it, and Walking Dead's guilty of it because it's just lazy writing. The keys being above the visor.
Oh, they
check
all
that.
do it. That was my next one. In one of my favorite movies
The
of all
trunk
time,
opens if you just hit it right. If you just hit the trunk right, it'll just pop open.
Big Trouble in Little China. I have a spare key. Where do I keep your spare key? Oh, there's my spare key. Or they just lift it. Why? Never. I do not have a spare key for my truck in my truck.
And that's actually one of the things too. I will say, it's so much of a trope that Last Action Hero made fun of it when he tries to shoot the car to make it blow up, and the bullets just go into the trunk. If the cars were that explosive, they'd be more regulated than they are.
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
I was going to chime in on you because that's one thing that kills me about movies is when they start firing and they shoot at the gas tank and then all of a sudden it just explodes. I'm like, it
I
doesn't
think there's
happen
even
that
an
way.
episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia that makes fun of it, where they actually shoot the gas tank and it just causes a gas leak, and they're like, "Oh, well, okay." I mean, so that's my entire thing. Like, how is it that it just takes me out of a movie if people don't understand how cars work? Like, if you leave your headlights running, and I actually did some research on this. They said, well, for low budget films, it was cheap lighting. You left the headlights on, it was a way to film, and it was cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool. But how did it become this trope where everybody that leaves their car just, we'll leave the lights on, leave the windows down. Sure, we're in for the night, but why not? We'll just leave all this stuff, And so the entire, I don't know. I mean, there's we could do an entire episode about stupid car tropes. People having conversations with their backseat riders like this, driving. How long can you do that?
And they shoot
3
them in the
minutes,
face.
and I ran down 2 people just testing it out.
And they shoot him in the face. You shot him in the face.
And then, also the and again, it's because you have to pull the audience in, but the sound effects that they use to sound the car starting up, the car running. There's several, like, for example, I'm going to use this example later on, but Supernatural,
But that's my favorite one.
No.
To me, it sounds like an Impala starting up. It sounds like a 350 or a 366. It doesn't matter. It sounds like a big Chevy engine starting up. Always appreciate it.
I'm just saying, when I can watch
That's for me,
seasons-
Chad. They did that for me.
Yeah,
Sure
that
they
was
did.
they were sitting there going, what can we do for Joe?
They
in our-"
will. I'll tell you, they did it for people who knew what that's supposed to sound like.
That being said, though, when I can watch a movie and it has as much facts about an automobile, and I'm not a car guy, I'm not a car expert, but when I can sit there and I say this is as believable as Toonces the driving cat from Saturday Night Live, you have pulled me out of your movie. I don't care how great your storyline is, but when it just becomes, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. Yeah. So that's an entire category, but I have found the older I get, the more the stupid car cliches get to me.
Nope. And they always find one that'll start.
Yeah.
Even in the apocalypse.
Yep. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Even in Jurassic Park.
Oh, you know what? Actually,
Place has been abandoned for 20 years. They found the battery that'd start that Jeep.
I'm going to go ahead and throw out the fact.
With no oil change or gas.
Gas, by the way, goes bad. It actually has a shelf life. It'll start turning to gel.
And so, and the other flip side of that too,
that's science.
I'm going to call out my suspension of disbelief is pretty strong on some things. As I've often told Joe and Chad, I go into most movies and I try to keep my expectations really low. That way I don't get hurt. But I actually was sitting there thinking about these car cliches, and it made me think of Beastmaster 2, as one would. When the car travels through time, and at the end of the film, he goes over to the car, and what does he do with this amazing technology? He turns on the radio and walks away. That's how the movie ends, if I remember correctly. Call me out if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't think I've ever actually seen it.
You haven't seen Beastmaster 2 Through the Portal of Time?
I'm familiar with it, but I don't think I've ever actually watched it.
You should totally watch it, except for that last scene. But no, that is how it ends. I'm relatively sure there's a sports car that gets sent back through time with him. And he ends up, like, he looks at the technology and there's all these primitive people gathered around it trying to figure out what it is. He walks over and he turns on the radio and walks away.
Yeah, and watch James. Let's not talk about the bullshit that's Army of Darkness.
Why would James get mad at that?
Yeah, no, it's all. Chad, I don't mean to point this out.
And also the fact that the skeletons are walking with no muscle, just fucking stupid.
I know, I love it.
Hold on. What? There's a stand-up comedian.
Oh, so you got a shit on Ray Harryhausen now, are you?
I would say, there's a stand-up comedian.
And by the way, I know you all don't remember. I went off on a tangent on this on like episode 3 or 4.
There's a stand-up comedian about how we have suspension of disbelief for some things and other things.
Yeah.
And he talks about, he went to see Superman Returns, Chad's favorite Superman film.
Oh,
and
better than Man of Steel.
And he talks about the scene where Superman gets shot in the eye and the bullet bounces off. And he said, I was in a crowded theater watching this, and a guy 2 rows down from me screams out, "Oh man, come on." And he goes, "Wait a second. You came to a movie about a guy that flies, but a bullet hitting him in the eye and bouncing off, that made you lose your ability to enjoy the film? I don't know if you knew what you were watching."
And my big thing about the guy who said, "Oh man, come on," did he not see any of the advertisement for that movie? Because that scene was featured prominently in the damn commercial.
He went to see a Woody Allen picture that was sold out, and all they had seats to. He was there by. I just wanted to know what did happen to Hannah and her sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, I came for the English patient, and I saw this shit.
All this shit.
I just wanted to see a burn victim.
Anyway, but yeah, so car cliches, there you go. It's an entire category. We could walk through all the films that screw it up, but there is just something about it, the older I get, where I'm like, wait a second, that guy hasn't looked at the road in 5 minutes.
No, and it's another, talking about this cliche is a cliche. The gun bullets never running out. Army of Darkness is another one that's terrible for that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, gasoline and the chainsaw too, right? I mean,
it never runs out. Never runs out.
Even though the slogan for that movie was what?
Trapped in time, surrounded by evil, low on gas.
Low on gas.
There you go. But they never brought it up as a plot point other than that movie poster.
No. Sam couldn't.
And by the way, I have like 5 copies of that. Has anybody seen Bruce Campbell, where he went on Twitter? Somebody tweeted out the Italian poster, I guess is the original, where he's got the hands up and he's all built and stuff, and he doesn't show his face. He tweeted out, somebody tweeted that and he retweeted it going, "Yeah, listen, that was totally Dino De Laurentiis saying, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies sell and we don't have to show your face."
Good for him.
Yeah, no, I was like, hey.
All right, here's my next one. I want to change it up a little bit. How people talk on the phone in movies is not how people talk in life. What, Chad? You all right? Chad stroked out.
That was one of mine.
I didn't mean to steal it.
No,
You can add
it's
on.
good.
Specifically, cell phones. No one says hello. No one says goodbye. They don't do any of that. And by the way, I have read articles about script writing. I was like, well, so, and Hitchcock talked about this. Like, he didn't do movies about slices of life. His were about slices of cake.
Yeah.
And basically, it's you just cut movie stories where you cut out the boring bits. And I get it. But listening to people talk on the phone in movies will piss you off to think that is the rudest bastard ever. What do you mean you didn't say goodbye? Even Mr. Burns says ahoy hoy.
Even though, by the way, you mentioned Hitchcock, I was reading this and they were talking about people who always talked about not overusing exposition, that then occasionally overuse exposition, and Hitchcock was one of the biggest offenders. And they used a couple of scenes from Psycho to demonstrate that.
Well, the whole last 10 minutes, the last reel of Psycho, if he'd have just ended it there, can you imagine? But he couldn't. He had to explain the whole damn movie to you.
Yeah.
And that's and I enjoy it. But if you just saw Norman Bates' mom turn around and scream the eye and then the attack, movie ends.
Yeah.
Not that it isn't a class. And who am I to shit on Psycho?
Somewhere Hitchcock is right. He is in heaven looking down, saying, "Oh, Joe's right. I totally dropped the ball."
And I love it when they sit there and explain Norman, and then it cuts to Norman with a fly cover. I wouldn't even hurt this fly. I'd love it.
Even in that last shot of Anthony Perkins looking, sinister, and I agree with you, but
I love it. Who am I to shit on Psycho? The best slasher film ever made. That and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, probably the two best.
But Halloween. Is there any film that you think gets telephones correct?
Who?
Yes, quick. A Cabin in the Woods. When they're talking to the guy, the harbinger of death, people do shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Where they're making fun of each other. You got me on speaker. That shit. Yeah. Yes. That to me, that's what I like about that movie. That movie is the horror films for the mundane.
Yeah.
What if you've never seen Cabin in the Woods? I do like it a lot. Although I watched it a while back and I actually thought it was slightly slow.
And there's another one, even though it's very awkward.
What?
The last part of Swingers.
They get the phone there.
Yeah, where Jon Favreau just keeps calling her and leave and answer, and he does it exactly correctly, so much so that it is devastatingly painful to watch. So that's a good phone scene in my opinion, is Jon Favreau constantly leaving those voicemails for the girl that he just met.
How about Thrill Me? Thrill Me?
Yeah, that works. That's okay. You're talking about from Night of the Creeps.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
But at least he says something. It's like the Mr. Burns ahoy hoy. No one goes. Harlan Ellison, no bigger curmudgeon, right?
Yeah.
Would say, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
Or yeah. No one just picks up the phone and listens, and then they start exposition. I have X, and you're going to do Y, and then we're going to meet at Z.
By the way, you mentioned Harlan Ellison. Harlan Nelson's one of his big things. You mentioned phone calls. He hated when films did the private detective, answered the phone. It's like, sorry, I don't know where that came from.
But I didn't know private detectives all were lungers.
They all have.
They had the TB, you say.
Oh, some of them. Anyway, but where they answer the phone and somebody, like you were saying, immediately speaks, but it's I can't tell you anything over the phone. Somebody could be listening, but let's meet at this location.
Right.
And Harlan Ellison would always say, "No, I'm not going to show up. You'll be dead." Click. Because if somebody is listening, you just told them where we were meeting.
It is so stupid. We're going to go meet. That place that has the apple pie that puts the cheddar on it. You communist. I don't know. I don't eat.
There is one, and I'm going back into TV and I'm going to bring up one I just mentioned. There is one horrible, constantly horrible example of how not to leave voicemails and talk on the phone. Supernatural. Every time Dean answers that phone or calls somebody, it is the most painful, awkward scene that I could ever watch, because nobody talks on a phone like that. And now, you almost wish that there was somebody on the other end of that phone talking, and that you don't even have to hear the script. They just made up script words so that person could talk to Dean. So his acting, and Dean and Jensen Ackles, is that his name?
We call him Jason Ankles.
Anyway, I honestly feel like he's a talented actor.
I
really
think so
do.
too. I think he's just playing Dean Winchester for 18 years.
Yeah, and but every time he picks up the phone and he's either leaving a voicemail or talking to Castiel or his mom on the other end, it's just terrible. He's not really you would think they would take the time to just stretch that out a little bit to make it seem like a legitimate phone call. But I know it's him hunting monsters and angels and demons, and they're not really going for reality. But yeah, I agree with you. Talking on the way people talk on phones and movies and TV, it's just atrocious. I don't know why we can't make that believable.
We don't make any of that. We don't make ordering or paying at a restaurant believable.
That was actually one of the ones I had for the closing one. Why is it that every movie, what do you want? I'll have a beer. And they automatically know what beer you want, how big of a beer you want, or what do you want? I want a burger, and it comes out fully dressed. And you're like, I didn't ask for any of that noise.
There's only two movies that get it right. When Harry Met Sally, and I'm not being sarcastic, seriously, of how people order. And it's a scene of how people order. And then from, not From Dusk Till Dawn, but Desperado, the sequel to El Mariachi. It's like, don't you have a clean glass? This is warm. This glass isn't clean. What other kind of beer do you have? All we have is it tastes like piss chungo or whatever it's called. That's the only. Where else did they deal with that?
Yeah. Have you ever gone to a bar going, I want a scotch on the rocks? Okay.
No, I would like a beer. We have 75 micro brews. Do you like an IPA? Do you like something that's very hoppy? This shit is what happens in real life. How do you want that burger cooked? Would you like it fully dressed? Now, our fully dressed doesn't only come with a pickle on the side. It also comes with sweet and sour pickles on the top with sweet relish.
And also, when they deliver it, there's the fries. They never ask, do you want fries with that? Or would you like another side?
You got tater salad? Because I swear to God, I want potato salad. I don't give a shit what else you got. If you don't have potato salad, I'll take something else.
Did they got hush puppies?
And
Chad's taking hush puppies, and I'm taking potato salad. We don't give a shit what the other sides are.
By the way, I want to point out that you can also tell it's not reality for me, because if it's me, I go, hey, can I get that burger you all have offered for the past 5 years? Oh, we just discontinued that.
That's true.
We will never be bringing that back because only you ordered it, you caveman, whatever.
Also, then you order.
Happens to me all the time.
And then also too, can I have this burger? And then can you just drown it in ranch before you bring it to me?
Oh, where do we get that at? That sounds
sick fuckers.
That sounds good. You had me at ranch and potato salad and 75.
I guess that's one of the other non-American things that people can bash me on, is the fact that I think ranch is disgusting.
But he likes blue cheese and mustard.
I like mustard. I'm kind of, me and blue cheese have had a falling out.
That's French. Just sad.
He's so French. He just likes blue misspelled. He's just so French.
I like my mold. I get my penicillin with my dairy.
I thought he's going to say with his dick. I don't know why. I get my penicillin with my dick.
I don't know what any of that means. Anyway, we got.
I don't either.
Yeah, I got one. I'll go. Okay, I'll go. And by the way, I just realized I have dropped a lot of F-bombs today, and I don't know why. I never do, but I have.
Okay.
So you're watching a big budget movie, a lot of special effects, a lot of computer generated images, yet they still cannot put a good family photo together using Photoshop.
No, they can't. I don't know why they can't get them there a week before casting when they're doing. And I know we don't do rehearsals, but why do they always look like shit?
Why do every single movie, and why do they even use it if they can't do it correctly? That is because every time I see it, they show, oh, here's me and my son, and it's a picture of the adult actor as a kid, photoshopped with a younger version of a younger picture of that actor, and every single one is just terrible. And I kept looking for an example. The only one that came to mind was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I believe they have some really bad Photoshop in there. Now, granted, that is the early 90s, but there was a recent one,
1989, sir.
What I say, early 90s?
That's okay.
Sorry.
No, don't get upset. It's
No,
not
I'm gonna
not like we did a whole episode on 89
your
or
nose off.
anything.
It's
Let's
not
just
like
go
you're
ahead
dead to
and
me
just-
now or anything.
Hey.
It's just not like we spend two
I mean,
episodes.
you know who did more?
1989.
You know who did more research and was better prepared than Chad was? The people who wrote Crystal Skull.
The people who went and got my burger and beer. Them
You've
bitches
been
could read
slammed.
minds. They could read minds.
No,
What you
but
say,
yeah.
Chad?
No, it just every time and then there's another one that came out a few years ago called The Book Club. I've actually never seen it, but it comes up when I look as the
He's
prime
also never
example.
seen a book. That's what these are, Chad. These are books.
Oh, you
This one
bastard.
here
Did
is
you have to
called-
belong to a club to get those?
This one here is called Hard Spell. It's about detectives who solve magical crimes.
Oh no, hard
Ah.
spells every time I talk to you and I hit my head.
That's a stroke.
Yeah, no, book club. It comes up as the most common example. It has like they took Jane Fonda, Diane Keaton, Lily Tomlin, and the fourth actress in the movie. I can't remember. And they just took young pictures of them and they combined them into one. And it's supposed to be them posing in front of a book, and it just clearly looks fake. But
Yeah.
there's
This
so
is-
many examples of this.
This is Farnham's Freehold. It was written by Heinlein. He wrote that Starship Trooper movie that you watch.
I've never read that, but I've read Starship Troopers.
I've got
Yeah.
a bunch of other Heinlein books. But anyway,
But
yeah.
I did look up when I researched this because I was like, this is such a it is, and it's still true to this day. You still find movies with this horrible Photoshop in them. I think Tron, and I know I'm like attacking James's favorite movies, but the new Tron movie with Jeff Bridges, there's some clear horrible Photoshop in there with him and his son. But you know, I
Makes
looked
no
up.
sense because they spent $100 million making Jeff Bridges young, and it doesn't look awful. I mean, I'm sure it won't age well. None of that will, but
No, but you know, they couldn't take the time to just blend that correctly. And I was kind of curious, and I did find people. This came from Reddit, so take it for what it will. But supposedly this person on Reddit works in the industry. He said quite often there is little effort spent because the props department doesn't know the photo will be seen in detail. The director may make the decision while shooting to focus on that prop, thinking that the prop will just be in the background. They do as little as they think necessary in order to move on to the next project. Also, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, isn't that what we heard from?
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but why am I blanking? Andorian antennas.
Yeah.
He made the comment. He said all the time we did prop work, eventually they would say, "Oh no, it's a background scene. Don't worry about it." And he said, anytime we heard that, we've learned to make it look great because inevitably,
Yeah.
What they
it'll be a
would call a hero prop or a hero costume.
And then also there's budget and time. The props department has a finite budget and short schedule in which to create sometimes vast quantities of props. The more important the prop, the more time and money, which includes staff pay.
And probably the close-up or insert shot wasn't even shot that day.
Right. So,
Or it could have been shot second unit.
but you would think at this point in time, in filmmaking has been going on for a long time, that they would go, "Oh, we're going to do a photo. Let's make it believable." And still to this day, nope. I can't think of one movie. Can you all think of one movie that has shown a photo of actors merged together where it's actually believable? Because every single one looks like shit. They're
Yeah, but I think they took a real photo. It's Elf of James Caan looking at a photo of him and his mother when they were kids. But it's one of those where I'm pretty sure that's just an image of James Caan, an actual photo of James Caan.
I think you're right. Yeah.
That they pay, and I'm assuming they paid whomever that lady is in that picture. But that looks dead up. That so much so that they cut to it like a half a dozen times in the movie.
And then there's movies that have like a whole montage at the beginning of different photos, like as a narrative to build up to the point where they're at versus having to tell it.
Yeah.
And all those photos are clearly just merged together for no reason, just cheaply. And it just every time I see it, it throws me out of the movie and I get angry. So there you go, James.
The one I'm going to talk about is near and dear to my heart because, as you know, I'm a huge proponent of the Second Amendment. Gun silencers. God in heaven, they get that wrong. Gun silencers do not make guns silent. I actually did the research on this. I wanted to make sure I had my data correct. So,
It's pronounced data.
Thank you, Pulaski. 4 people.
He
got
has a
that.
cat named Spot.
Anyway, as there was an article written by or presented by, I should say, What Culture, which I
What?
guess is a website. Yeah, I know. But they actually did the research on this, and I'm going to quote the research here. The average gunshot is between 140 to 190 decibels. That's the range. And a silencer can effectively reduce that by between 15 to 45 decibels. That means, and this is where I did my own math, that means assuming you have the lowest volume gun and have the best silencer on it, you've got a 140 decibel gun, you put a 45 decibel reducer on it, that means it's going to be 95 decibels. Do you know what that means? It sounds like a motorcycle engine when you shoot it. The pop is going to sound as loud as a motorcycle engine being next to you. I say all that to,
Not my motorcycle. It's not street legal.
okay, then it's
Yeah, you could have left
slightly-
yourself muted for that one.
I don't want to
more-
hear it. Go back to your shitty blue cheese.
Anyway, with your EU spelling. Man. What is it? Anyway,
That's it.
It
I'm switching
stands
to
for
French dressing.
so it's also, it'd be the equivalent to a chainsaw pull, right? That's how loud it would still
I
be.
couldn't get mine
I
started.
say that to say, I know people are huge fans of it, and it is played as humorous in this, but that means John Wick Chapter 2 has a very erroneous scene or two in it. The only movie that I know of that actually gets the silencer right is the first Bourne film, The Bourne Identity. There is a scene that at the very end where there is a silencer used as somebody is killed, and you hear a solid thwack sound when he pulls the trigger. That is actually the most accurate scene for that. So gun silencers in films are usually played completely wrong, as I guess this is my armaments rant, as are hand grenades. Fragmentation grenades do not blow up entire buildings. The only time that I'm aware of that those are shown correctly in film is the Thin Red Line, which I think Eddie Harrelson has one that gets pulled while it's on him.
You mean Woody Harrelson?
Yeah, Eddie is his stunt double in the scene. Shut up, Chad.
I blew off my ass. I think that's
Yeah. And he slowly
butt.
bleeds
He
to
actually
death.
uses the word butt in Thin Red Line. I blew off my butt.
He
I don't
slowly
know why, but
dies.
he does say butt.
He slowly dies there, right?
Yep.
But he doesn't get pulverized or blown out. That is actually much more screen accurate than when you see somebody throw a grenade and the entire building goes up. It is a very localized, fragmented explosion. And so as much as I love action films, if you ever think I get a silencer and get away with it, you will not. It's still going to make a lot of noise, and a grenade is not going to blow up an entire house unless it happens to hit a gas line, in which case, maybe. That being said, those are two cliches that are starting to get really played out for me, where it's like, oh, and by the way, I'm a huge James Bond fan, and James Bond has used silencers wrong forever.
I really want to see a movie where somebody takes a.
Me too. Let's go. Let's say this shit right
Good
now.
idea, Chad.
What's it called?
That's a good idea.
Is it a Derringer?
Yeah.
Like I want to see somebody get a Derringer and put a silencer on it.
That's called compensating.
Just take it out of take it out between underneath their dress, pull it out, then put the silencer.
They'd actually have to move the silencer twice because it's 2 barrels.
Exactly.
So you'd have it depending on which one
Yeah,
you shot.
they would unscrew it, they shoot it, and then they'd unscrew it. That's
They
exactly.
literally have to move it down. It's like a double
I know,
barrel
I would
shotgun,
love to
only like
see-
this.
I would love to see that in a movie just for shits and giggles. Somebody get on that.
So I'm sorry. No, that's my one. I was thinking about it the other day, and I can always remember my father
that's-
saying when he was in the military, he was like, "Yeah, we use silencers. They're still loud as hell."
That's honestly though, this is the one. That's the one because I thought about putting that on here. That's the one where I'm like, okay, I know that's not true, but I don't mind it. I just honestly,
Well, they've used the same sound effect for every silencer ever.
and
It
I
never
like that
changes.
sound. And
It's
for
a
some reason, I like that sound effect. I love it when I hear pew pew.
And here's another thing that I don't think James mentioned, and I'm pretty sure it's true. The silencer only works a couple of times.
Yeah.
You
they wear
can't
out quickly.
empty a clip through it. It won't last, right?
Yeah.
Did this come up in your research? It only works like 2 or 3 times. You get less and less silence.
Because you bore out more of the thing that
Yeah.
sounds it, right? I mean, you have a projectile spinning through it that's carving it.
And it
every time
also
goes
makes
through.
it less accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, once again, I'm a huge James Bond fan, and I'll forgive them.
Well, let me ask you this,
everything,
James. Does the person holding the gun sideways bother you?
Not at all.
Okay.
You know why? Because that looks cool.
It looks cool, but it's stupid.
Oh no, it's dumb, man. But the thing is, that being said, where that started as a trope,
That casing is
usually-
going to put out your eye, Ralphie.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, well, and I think where that trope started was it was supposed to be like you saw a lot in movies where it's supposed to be street gangs, right? They'd be like, I'll pop you. And in all fairness, those people didn't know anything about guns. So it made sense that they would be like, oh, yeah, I just want to do what looks cool, right? So I gave that a buy. So there you go. That trope doesn't bother me. Now, by the way,
you're fine with idiot. What you just said were idiots following ignorance.
I was gonna say no, and that's the
willful ignorance.
I think the difference is, Joe, if it's one of those things where, okay, let me caveat that. If you want me to convey to me, hey, this guy's just a street tough, he doesn't actually know how guns work, he's just trying to look intimidating, that's fine. If it's a Jason Statham movie where he's supposed to have all this top secret training and be a military expert, if he comes at me like that, I agree, I am out.
All right, well, the usual suspects. Kaiser Soze kills that guy at the end just that way, sideways.
Yeah.
Kaiser Soze is supposed to be all-knowing and controls everything.
Yeah, he's wrong.
So Kaiser Soze isn't.
Well, that means he also is. He can control the laws of physics.
I don't think it's that.
Plus, on top of that, we're not supposed to talk. We're not supposed to talk about him anymore.
What do you mean we're not supposed to talk to? I swear, if I could have just cut my feet.
I will point out, James talked about Superman Returns earlier, so he started it.
No, I watched the.
We're not supposed to talk about Bryan Singer.
I watched the edited cut of that. It doesn't mention any of those people. It now just says DC says sorry several times during the credits.
I think they need to do that on more than
DC
just
says
Superman
sorry.
Returns. All right, here's another one that drives me crazy. When I was doing this, there were several that just came to mind, and then of course I always research it and look at what other people say. But this is, they're in the middle of a pandemic. They're in the middle of the aliens coming. There's in the middle of something huge happening. They walk by a television or the TVs all go, and it explains everything that's happening in that moment.
Yeah, they turn it on at exact the same time.
There it is. It's the president. It's the somebody, and there's just my fellow Americans. Big ass lizard just stopped the shit out of downtown Hong Kong. It's coming this way,
and they did
not have the Burberry he was looking for. He's got to go downtown to do some shopping.
And furthermore, they get phone calls. Hey, Joe, get on the TV. There's something going on right now.
On channel, and a lot of times just turn the TV on. They don't even give you the channel. I have 400, and you can't do that anymore. Fuck you! I don't have cable. I'm streaming.
By the way,
supposed to turn the TV on.
Is it on
Hulu? Is it on Amazon?
I do want to say a little bit dark, but this is true. There was a time when you could turn it on, and it didn't matter what channel you were watching, you were going to get alerted, and that was 9/11.
That's true.
Because I did get that phone call, and they were like, "Turn on the TV." This actually did happen to me, and I said, and I literally was asleep, and I said, "What's going on?" I was like, the person who said it to me was like, "It's bad." I turned on the TV. I don't even remember what channel it was on, but sure enough, that ticker was going across the bottom of my screen.
I'm trying to think. 9/11 was the first time that ever happened to me. I think that was Columbine.
It did happen. 9/11 happened with me because I happened to turn on the TV right when the second. This is getting dark, but this is when the second airplane hit. I actually turned it on right when it happened.
Well, thank God we didn't have a president at that time who got on the television and said, my fellow Americans. He was reading.
By the way, there is a great, turning this back to a little bit of comedy, there is a great Saturday Night Live sketch when Joe Pesci hosted that makes fun of that because they're the criminals and their master plan is we'll rob the bank, we'll go to the hideout, we'll watch the news, and we'll find out what's going, we'll find out where they're looking for us, and then we'll go the other place. And sure enough, they turned on, but they keep getting interrupted because there's a dog food commercial that's like, I'm a happy puppy dog. And Joe Pesci just freaking out going, go back to the news. I need to know. And it's the dog commercial keeps looping because there's an error at the station. It's the only one I've ever seen that actually makes fun of that trope. But so it's a Joe Pesci sketch, probably from the early 90s.
I only have two more that I want to mention real quick.
Go for it.
And they're both back to the food. They never eat their food. You never just watch 2 minutes of somebody downing a cheeseburger. Now, I know probably most people don't want to see that, but why do they never eat their food? And they always
get up and
leave a
walk
bunch
away.
of food. They give up and walk away, and without paying 9 times out of 10, or their beer that they just got that was generic beer.
Yeah, that was
That's
just a
one
beer.
thing. And then, but here's what's really killing me. They make a date and exchange no details.
Yeah.
Can I pick you up at 8 o'clock? Sure, you can pick me up at 8 o'clock. Where am I picking you up at 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Where are we going? What will you be driving? Will you be calling me beforehand?
Do you have a home?
What am I supposed to wear? Am I picking you up at work? Am I picking you up at school?
Is it
am I picking
informal?
you home? If you're at work, why are you still at work at 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I want to jump back onto the food thing. This is another one that throws me for a loop. Either you wake up in the morning or you come home for dinner and you have this perfect spread. Everything is laid out.
They do breakfast like that all the time.
It's all laid out on the table, perfectly organized. How many of us have ever had a meal like that?
Always orange juice for breakfast.
Can I add
always
something?
Glasses of orange juice, and they take one bite and walk out.
Can I add to your all's food rant? Because it's actually something I've noticed. How do you know if somebody in a film has bought groceries? How do you know that's what's in the bag that they're holding? It's because a loaf of bread is sticking out and usually some green leafy vegetables at the top. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Dana Barrett walks in. The only thing that she's got is those marshmallows.
Yeah.
That's different than anybody else.
But I mean, I was thinking about it. I was like, I can't think of a film where they're packing groceries where there's not like a baguette or a bread or something. And then like a leaf of lettuce is hanging out to say, oh, do you know what comes in grocery bag? Groceries. So just in case you weren't sure, here's bread, the staple of life, and here's a vegetable. Sorry.
I have something crazy out of the bag, like a roll of toilet paper. What's another one?
Yeah, unless it's a comedy, nobody ever has to buy toilet paper.
Nobody ever buys toilet paper. But why don't they have something else out of the bag that says they went to get groceries? This is some shit that you all eat that's not leafy greens, eggs, and bread.
To the credit of Blues Brothers. To be fair. He does at least Elwood
Sorry,
Blues.
I'm on a letter Kenny kick.
Elwood Blues at least does have to buy cheese whiz for that one guy. You get my cheese whiz, boy. Remember
That's true.
That's a great scene. He buys cheese whiz. So we know at least one person didn't buy bread and a leafy vegetable.
That's true. That's true.
By the way, the fact I can quote, you get my cheese whiz, boy, means that I've watched that movie.
I think a lot of people can quote that, but I wish you would stop saying it to me.
I wish you would buy me some cheese whiz so I could stop. I've asked for one thing over our years of friendship, and I don't think get a bottle of cheese.
I think it's a lot more whiz than it is cheese.
Oh.
Who's up?
Chad, you got another one?
You go.
You know, I'm going to talk about one, and Chad, this one will hit you because you're going to know the source material where it comes from. Fridging. Fridging. I'd heard that term, but I didn't realize actually exactly where it came from. I thought it came from that the reason it happened that way in its original source was because the term came before it, but I was told I was wrong. That's when you intentionally hurt a female character to motivate a male hero. It comes from Green Lantern. The Kyle Rayner Green Lantern, his girlfriend was killed and put in his refrigerator
by Major Force. Yeah.
Yep. It is a classic trope, right? I mean, women being used to manipulate the hero goes back to the Odyssey, goes back to all of that stuff. However, I do think we're wearing this. I think after 2,000 some years, we need to let this go because it pops up everywhere. Deadpool 2. Matter of fact, if you watch
every Zack Snyder film,
what's the children friendly version of Deadpool called? Once Upon a Deadpool or something?
Once Upon a Deadpool, yeah.
Because my kids have watched it, and Fred Savage even has a line. Did you just fridge Vanessa? And it's exactly that. They kill Vanessa because otherwise, why would Deadpool go back out there? Star Wars Attack of the Clones. We need Anakin to have a point where he turns. It's not enough that they've taken him away from his mother. We've got to kill Shmi. Thor the Dark World. We got to kill his mom because otherwise he'll just keep being Thor, I guess. Pacific Rim Uprising kills one of the characters from the first movie just to motivate the guy to come out of retirement.
Have you guys ever seen Pacific Rim Uprising?
No.
I watched 30 minutes of it to make that reference.
I got 10 minutes
it is pretty damn bad.
Yeah, I got 10 minutes in and turned it off.
One of your
it's pretty
favorite
bad.
films, Chad, and I hate to hurt your feelings, but Shocker does it a couple different ways.
Oh God, Shocker. Yeah. Ugh.
But by the way, even behind the scenes, Sylvester Stallone, if you watch the special features of Rocky Balboa, he behind the scenes, he goes, literally, if we didn't kill off Adrian, there's no reason for Rocky. If he's happy and still married and he's doing okay, she owns a restaurant, why would he agree to anything? We have to kill her to motivate him. And I'm like, God, that's I mean, surely you can do something else. Do it for charity. By the way, we mentioned it earlier, and I love Supernatural, but Supernatural was another one. From the very pilot, why does Sam eventually agree to go with Dean? Oh, yeah, that's because not only did his mother die, but then his girlfriend was on the roof on fire. So, it's or on the ceiling on fire. By the way, and I love this show, and I'm saying this is a trope. I'm not saying these are bad shows.
These are trope. Drink.
But The Boys. When does The Boys pivot? It's when his girlfriend gets killed right before he kisses her, and he gets blood splatter all over.
Yep.
So what would you rather they do? She gets blood splatter all over. He gets his butt on it and goes, boy, that saved me a really hard conversation
No,
the next week or two.
No,
because that would be, I would laugh my ass off going, man.
No,
I
I'm
just
saying,
have this fear of.
I'm just saying, and now I have a fear of commitment, but that ain't a worry anymore.
That now I don't have to have it. Thank you so much. Hi, dude who runs fast. I can't even remember his name.
Yeah, A-Train.
A-Train. Thank you, A-Train.
By the way, the fact I remember A-Train, but forget my children's name. Yeah, anyway, no, again, it's a 2,000-year-old or more trope about the woman being the damsel in distress or being the one that suffers to motivate the guy. He has to go save her. It is an old trope. I do think it's interesting though that
James said trope.
Very rarely
I drink all my Kool-Aid.
Very rarely do we see the flip side of that, right? There's very few heroines that have to go, oh, I've got to go be heroic now because my man done died.
My man done died.
By the way, that's
hold on. Well, right? Even with so there's a movie called Peppermint that I actually liked.
I like Peppermint as well.
But they couldn't
Bart Mixon in front of the show.
What'd you say?
Bart Mixon, friend of the show.
Bart Mixon, who did the effect. Yeah, he did the makeup effects as friend of the show. But you're right. They couldn't just kill her man. They had to kill her man and kids.
Yeah.
If it's a woman, they can't just kill her man. They have to kill the whole fan family.
You know, the only time where, well, there's one pure example where
life is so sexist.
That didn't happen.
Middle-aged white men have it so bad.
Oh, Taken 3 does that too, right? They have to kill in Taken 3. Don't they kill his wife?
They kill his wife.
And that's why he eventually, I mean, by the way.
Now I don't have to see Taken 3.
Well, Chad, spoiler, it's in the first 10 minutes, I think.
It's kind of like Tekken.
Yeah.
Except less punching.
There's less punching, but more taking.
But no, RoboCop. They just killed him.
Yeah, brought him back.
He came back for revenge because they killed him.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't really come back for revenge.
He comes back as a tool of the corporation.
Yeah, and then he kind of has
memories. How I want to go.
That's an interesting point. Is it for revenge, or is he just trying to figure out his death, trying to solve his past death?
Oh, which, by the way, and that's actually another thing. I mean, it's a minor.
If it's actually revenge.
Sorry,
Dark Man's another example. They didn't really hurt her.
No, but she didn't go back after them either. After they killed her man, they had to kill her man and kids to get her pissed off.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's a cliche. I'm not saying it needs to be done away with entirely because I love The Boys, I love Supernatural, but it
is getting a little old of the and I agree with James on this, and is that there needs to be something else for female characters other than just a motivator for the men to do their thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
By the way, and that's my entire thing. Have you ever? And I say this, I love my wife, but
I need to start. That needs to be another one. If you start out a sentence with "I love someone," you're about to kill him. Keep going.
No, but
he's about to go kill somebody because he'll have to kill himself.
Don't you occasionally motivate yourself? Like, that's my entire thing. Like, why does there always have to be some divine spark, if you will, to like? It's like, I wasn't going to go to college, but then it turns out my great uncle got hephasemonomia, and I can go and find the cure.
Hephasemonomia?
Yeah, look it up. It's very deadly. I have no idea. I put together. By the way, I will get a letter in the mail from the Hephaesimonomia Association going, "You shouldn't mock us. That's not funny."
And if it goes viral, we'll get more hits. So go ahead and
I
piss them
know.
people off.
So anyway, Hephaesimonomia. Only people that gets that are punks. Let me look
And
that up.
people
Now,
with
what should be?
And people who don't know what Hephaesimonomia is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but it is true. The counterpart to that is if it's a woman, it can't just be her man got killed and I'm going to get revenge. It's her man and children. It almost always is, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 That's interesting. I never thought of that one.
Well,
That's
and
true.
partially, and that actually leads to another point. Why, even in the most post-apocalyptic film, I'm going to pick on, is it Fury Road, the last Mad Max movie?
Yep.
Yep.
I love Fury Road. And they do a great job with Charlize Theron, making her look battle hardened and all of that stuff. And she does phenomenal. The movie's great. I enjoyed Tom Hardy. It's great. That being said, somebody pointed out to me, and I've not looked at the movie the same way. They find those three women, and they're scantily clad, and they're supposed to be in the apocalypse, but they are very clean.
Right.
Like their clothes, I mean, they're sand.
Yep.
But their clothes are clean. They're very revealing clothes and all of that stuff. And I'm like, and somebody pointed out to me, so wait, Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy are literally in the desert, battle hardened, beat up, all this stuff. And they are just, their clothes are laundered, their makeup's done there. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you got me. I don't know.
No, it's always beautiful women, right?
Yeah.
It's
Like
the
the
same-
guys are always, we get the mutant looking guy driving the truck that looks like he ain't seen a shower in 18 years.
Yep.
Then they get out of the truck and they're like,
No, or she's going to take off her, which this has been made fun of too. This is a cliche of a cliche. She's going to take off her glasses and let down her hair, and now she's beautiful.
That's actually one of my brief ones. I'm going to be like, okay, now let me know when I start to become sexier.
Shit, put those back on. Put those back on, you beady-eyed
Control your
bastard.
urges.
You
My
beady-eyed
my
bastard.
desk just became one of those stand-up fandango things.
I mean,
He's
taking
having
off
convulsions.
glasses.
It's not from an erection. He's literally
No, he's-
having convulsions.
He's having an issue.
Or
But no.
Professor Xavier.
Taking off glasses and brushing your hair automatically making you a sex symbol, especially if you're a woman.
Yeah.
It's
It's really
amazing.
sexist, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only time it happens, I mean, it's Superman, right? I mean, and especially Christopher Reeve's playing him because he changes his posture, he changes everything.
Yeah, he changes everything.
And that to me, but that being said, outside of that, I have never, ever, and Chad, you wear glasses. I've never had anybody like I take off my glasses to clean them, and nobody has ever seen me like that and been like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. They're like, "Oh, he has slightly less stuff on his face now."
Hello, people.
Yeah,
You
yeah. It doesn't.
beady-eyed bastard. Just put them back on.
So that's another one. I agree, and it's another sexist cliche, trope-ish cliche, whatever. That's one. By the way, and I'll end with one other one that I was going to throw out because I think it pops up quite a bit. Joe, if you
Yeah.
need to show somebody has been through trauma, but you don't want to show the trauma, what's a great way to show that?
Through flashbacks?
No, Joe. What you have them do is either shave their own head, cut their own hair, or cry in the shower. And if you need to say it's been the ultimate trauma, you do both.
Yeah.
Because if they cut their own hair and then you show them crying in the shower, something has happened to that person.
You know, though, I feel bad about the last one because I literally had a friend telling me a story this week about them crying in the shower.
No, and by the way,
trauma.
I get it.
You were telling me
it.
that I was having a flashback to Coffee Wednesday. So
I know it does happen. I am not mitigating the fact that listen, we've all cried in the shower at some point. But I'm just saying
now I'm starting to think, or your other thing lies. Chad, go get a silencer and let me shoot you.
But
Let's see how
Get my
loud the damn thing is.
I'll go get my Derringer.
yeah,
Let's get
But-
some WD-40. That's the thing is everybody's screwing around with it, trying to get it. There's
yeah.
people shooting at you. And you're trying to get it in the hole.
Oh, it's jammed. Hold on. Time
I
out,
gotta,
guys.
hold on,
Time
time out,
out.
guys. I gotta be stealthy.
No, or Chad's got a Derringer going. Is it Roddy Toddy Lefty Lucy?
Hold on. Is this
Oh
a
my
good
God, they
one?
got a
Does it go the
blunderbuss.
other way?
A blunderbuss. You need a silencer for your blunderbuss.
I think we just named the episode
Blunderbuss.
Blunderbuss
We stopped naming
Silencer.
episodes. I could never keep up with all the
Anyway,
names of episodes. Blunderbuss.
But no, I do think that's because it's usually, it sounds terrible, but it's usually shorthand for film, especially if it's about a woman. It's usually a sign of sexual assault, something like that.
Right.
And they don't want to name it in the film, but they want to convey it. So it'll be like, oh, she's changing her appearance. She's cutting her hair so she'll look less attractive. And she's getting in the shower crying and all. And that's, again, it conveys it, but it's been done so much that it's became a cliche in its own right. And I've got one more that is very
You
personal.
keep
to
saying
me.
You
that.
just said
But
you had one more, 2 more ago.
I have up my list pulled up on the right, and I left this one off, but it's very, very near and dear to my heart because, gentlemen, if I was in a film, I wouldn't get to be the protagonist. I'd have to be the fat, funny friend.
Yes.
Heavy set people are not the heroes.
No.
No.
They are not sexual beings. They are
No.
not. They are there to crack a joke, throw a pie,
Or
they
if
get sad because they threw the pie that they wanted to eat. Oh my God, it's getting to me now. Anyway,
you know, the last person who could be, and I'm not saying he's a sexual being, but the last person who, and it wasn't Chris Farley, it was John Candy,
John
who could
Candy.
have a relationship or a wife or any of those things in a movie. Now, in a sitcom, it's different. But
Yeah,
an
yeah.
actual movie that you go see, John Candy was the last fat star.
yes,
Star
yeah, wait,
star. What do you all think?
yes, no, I absolutely
It
agree.
wasn't like the idiot or the, and I'm not, and before people start writing me letters about Chris Farley was a G, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying.
No, but he played
the
in
idiot.
Beverly Hills Ninja. He ain't playing a Mensa King.
Right. We're talking about Tommy Boy and Black Sheep. It's not the same thing. John
as
Candy was
delirious, only the lonely.
only the lonely. He gets the girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they don't make those movies. And John Candy was the last on the, and feel free to text us, text us. Hopefully,
And no, Kevin James doesn't count.
Well,
No.
because
well,
Kevin
he plays
James,
an idiot. He's Paul Blart.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess you could argue the counterpoint of Seth Rogen, but
But
even
Seth is skinny now.
well, yeah, he now. Yeah.
So is Jonah Hill. And
Yeah.
then even if he gets the girl, it's because, and I'll keep this added, it's like The Babysitter, which is a movie I enjoyed. The whole opening is about, well, you know, fat
It's just
guys.
Joe. It's the sitter.
Is it The Sitter?
It's the
Yeah,
sitter.
the Babysitter is a club. They beat
Oh,
seals.
well,
And there's also adventures in it.
well, I've heard that. Well, anyway, in The Sitter, the joke is, well, you know, he's fat, so he's good at oral sex,
Right.
Yeah. But so that's my
which
last,
isn't untrue, but
that is my last kind of one I wanted to bring up because it's something that I do think about. There was an entire conversation about Star Trek. Oddly enough, we had Nick Meyer on the show, and I was watching Twitter
drop it
because
one more time, James. Drop it like a top.
everybody should go watch our Nick Meyer episode. They
I
should.
think everybody should just watch that. We had Nick Meyer on our show.
But that being said, no, they were talking about how Star Trek has done a great job of having more representation of gender and diversity and all of that stuff. And they even have, if you watch Discovery, they have people with different abilities. There is somebody that's in a wheelchair. There is somebody, you see them in the background. That being said, I remember years ago, and this would have probably been when Deep Space Nine was still on the air, they interviewed one of the costume people. And they said, listen, aliens come in all shapes and sizes, but if you want to be in the Federation, if you want to be in a Starfleet uniform, you had better be fit. And I remember that interview because I'm like, God, I will never, it doesn't matter if all of a sudden I develop acting skills. I'm
Yep.
not going to.
No,
But I would never get to be, I would get to be a Horta or a Gorn or a whatever, but I would never get to suit up in a Federation uniform as a human. And I do think about, you know, as I think about those cliches, it's amazing that we do have these shows. I'm picking on Star Trek because I love it so much, but you have all these shows that are like, oh, there's all sorts of people. As a matter of fact, I will give credit. One thing that the show Breaking Bad did well was when they showed the DEA, they showed a DEA that was believable.
Mhm.
There's some of those people that I would not think would be able to chase me too long. They would just shoot me. And so I do think that that's something as well, is that often when we show, you know, police force or private detectives, they're always these ripped, oh, I can run forever people. And that's not usually, I mean, don't get me wrong. No offense meant to our active service men or women or our police.
Is this still going?
But there are some of you that aren't exactly ripped.
Well, just their pants.
Anyway, those are some cliches that I think pop up occasionally. So once again, I'm gonna lose some weight and take off my glasses so I can be a sex symbol.
Oh, just put them back on. All right. So
James.
Who said that? Who said
Yeah.
that?
Why is it? Why
Is
y'all
this
so?
in Braille? Is this
Why y'all?
Braille?
Why'd y'all become blurry
hold on,
blobs?
hold on. This is an old joke, but why do you feel so cold? That's an inside joke that none of the rest of you are going to get. I'm glad James.
It's terrible on
It's
every-
terrible, but we have a story anyway. Is there anything else, gentlemen?
No.
I think every episode or every podcast after this that tries to do an episode about tropes and cliches, they don't need to. It's been done. We've done
It's
it.
been done.
You're
Done.
going to be doing
Move on.
cliches of cliches. You're just impersonating us. Let it go.
He's so cold. Why are you so cold?
You're so cold.
All right. This has been Bonehead Weekly.